Welcome to the March 16th, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Education. Ms. Croce, would you please call roll?
Thank you. Student Member Torres is not present. Member Nguyen?
Here.
Member Jones?
Here.
Member Hill?
Yes.
President Thomas?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we move on to public comment on closed session items. Let's begin with Sherry Villa.
Good evening, Sherry Villa. I am Vice President of our Newark Teachers Association. First, I just want to thank you guys. I'm gonna keep it short for myself because I have a lot of my members here that are gonna tell you what they need to say. So what I ask is to hear them all out. Thank you.
Ms. Laura Knoop.
Thank you, guys. I'm Laura Knoop. I am a teacher at Newark Memorial High School. I teach AP Psychology this year. I'm number 10 on your seniority list, and I'm 52 years old. If you think about it, that's a problem. But I'm also the site director at the high school, but I don't want to talk about that today. I do a lot representing teachers and stuff, but I really want to just talk about myself because I'm so angry about working in this district for 28 years. And time after time after time, I've come up here and tried to explain to you how much we love these kids and how much we give to these kids every single day. I mean, we sat in the dark with these kids this week and we taught them because our superpower is teaching, and we do it all the time. And for some reason, we don't get rewarded for it. For some reason, the teaching in Newark is not as important as the teaching in New Haven, where I would be making $23,500 more this year if I taught there. That is so unfair to me and to my family. I have committed myself to you, and I want you to commit yourself back. I want you to have the guts to figure it out, to stop saying we can't. That somehow you're not worth it. We will never be as good as Fremont. We will never be as good as New Haven. Look, give us what you can, because what you're giving us isn't enough. We lose teacher after teacher after teacher. One of my very good friends is out here. She was my student, and then she was my colleague. We had babies due on the same day, and then she left. She left for New Haven because they would pay her, and we wouldn't pay her. And she was great. And she was in a high-need area in special education, and she's not with us now because of you guys not making the difficult decision and finding a way to reward us for our hard work. Okay? Find a way. And I'm sorry, I am, like, some things, like, you guys presented a COLA -2. You're going to present me a COLA -2 and tell me, as your most experienced teacher in the district, one of the most experienced people here, that I should make less money every year I work for you from here on out. That's what that proposal means, because I get to pay for the cost of living. You're not going to pay my cost of living? It doesn't even make any sense. All it is rude. It's rude, it's disrespectful, it's not what I deserve. I have given my time, and I would like to be respected in return. Thank you.
Diana Kataki.
Okay. Hello, everyone. In case we haven't met before, my name is Diana Kataki, and I'm currently a 4th grade teacher over at BGI. Recently, a student of mine passed away unexpectedly. Since then, life has been a bit of a blur. I never thought I would have to sit with a group of 29 children and tell them that their friend and classmate would never be with us in the classroom again. The process has been hard on so many levels. I spent the first week since his passing keeping it together. I went into autopilot, putting my students first in every decision I made. I advocated for them to receive counseling for 2 weeks instead of 1. I was in constant communication with my classroom families. I was comforting the students and helping them grieve, all while putting my needs aside and putting my work first and my love for these kids first. I take a lot of pride in my job, and I think my students have come a long way since February 27th. I will never regret devoting all of my attention and energy to my students during our time of immense loss and tragedy. However, I know that in order to continue showing up for them, I also have to take care of myself. Take care of yourself. I heard this from numerous people, yet I found it surprising that I was given no bereavement. There's currently nothing written in our contract that gives teachers the time to mourn the loss of a student. Because it is not explicitly worded, I was provided no grace to take time to heal. Even on the day of his funeral service, I was told to mark it as school business. This is simply not okay. While I know this kind of situation is rare, it does happen. Just because it won't happen to every teacher doesn't make it hurt any less for the ones it does happen to, like myself. We need language in our contract that provides teachers who lose a student time to grieve and step away from the classroom. Every day I walk into my room, I'm reminded of who isn't there. I need time to process that fact, and I should not have to use my own personal or sick leave in order to do so. I have shown my students care and compassion, and I hope you all do the same. I'm not advocating this to my benefit. I'm doing so for the benefit of the teachers in the future who will face similar situations and deserve to have time to heal. Thank you for your time.
David Hernandez.
Good evening, Board. David Hernandez, Executive Director of Newark Teachers Association, and thank you everybody for coming out tonight. I just want to remind the board that, we've been striving to make Newark a destination district. We've had lots of enrollment. We've been trying to do programs to get people to come to this particular district, but we got to have a competitive wage. And the CPI and the COLA over the last 10 years has been at least 30%. And yet you have only paid your employees 18%. Think about it. 30% CPI and COLA over the last 10 years, Newark teachers have received 18%. New Haven over that time, 27%. Fremont over that time, 37%. Hayward over that time, 41%. Do you get the picture? And you're wondering why we are going to lose staff? You have a good, experienced staff. Let's not make Newark a stepping stone to go to other districts. Let's keep our experienced people here. Let's have a competitive salary that's going to bring teachers here and make them want to stay. I'm just asking you to consider those things as you look at where we are and to do something about where you are now and to give us something better tomorrow. Thank you.
Kelly Gunther.
Hello, my name is Kelly Gunther. I was a special ed teacher at Newark Memorial High School for 9 years. It was my very first job after finishing my credential and moving out to California from Chicago. I loved teaching in Newark. I loved my kids, I loved the community, and I loved my coworkers. I thought I would never leave. Honestly, I thought this was the district I would retire in. As the years went on, though, the job got harder and harder. Teachers, particularly special ed teachers, left. About 80% of the special ed teachers in the district who were there when I started had left by the time I left. And there was no one to replace them. I was asked to sub pretty much every single day. I had no time to lesson plan, to write IEPs, to help my students when they were having a hard time. We were asked to write IEPs for kids we had never met because there simply weren't enough case managers to cover all of the students in special ed in the district. All of this meant that our students who needed the most care and attention didn't receive it. I could no longer do my job. I could no longer serve my students, and I actually considered leaving the teaching profession. Instead, I left Newark. I took exactly the same teaching position at James Logan High School in New Haven. Instantly upon signing my contract, that was a $10,000 pay raise. 5 years later, I now make $17,000 more than a Newark teacher with the same education and experience. Next year, that pay difference will be $21,000, unless Newark finds a way to plug the gap. More and more Newark teachers will come and join me in New Haven. This district has allowed teacher pay to fall further and further behind that of neighboring districts. More teachers will leave, and Newark students will ultimately pay the price. Thank you.
Sean Abruzzi?
I've been in this district for 23 years. Not only do I have family that have taught in this district, I have family that was administrators. I have family that built the Newark Pavilion. I have family that lived on Dairy Street. We have a special thing here. We have people that come to our school district, graduate, come back and teach. We're losing those people. You want to have competitive rates? You want to be a designated school district? In 10 years, this school district might not be around because you can't have teachers. You talk about last board meeting, we talked about providing a track and field, a turf. Great. But if you don't have qualified teachers, that's just going to sit there and not happen. When is this board, this district, going to wake up and start paying us for what we need? You keep lowballing us. That's fine. I wish you luck. But it's about time that this board comes back with a serious proposal. And like Laura Noop said, I'm paying out of my pocket because you can't do COLA? Really? I'm sorry, but I'm speechless. And I'm hoping that when we go to the table on Friday, that this board and this district comes back with a real proposal. Because what you have done is insulted me. Said basically that you are not worth being here. You are not worth our time and effort. And that's sad. And the thing is, don't these students deserve the best teachers? How are you going to retain high qualified teachers? I've seen people leave. I don't have many friends in Newark because all my friends have left. In the 23 years, I've seen them go. I've seen them go to New Haven. I've seen them go to Fremont, making hand over fist money. And you guys are sitting there, oh, we don't have the money. We don't have the money. You don't have a choice. You have to pay us, or you're going to lose us.
Thank you, Sean. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, then we will be recessing to closed session where we will talk about public employee dismissal, discipline release, conference with labor negotiations, employee organizations, NTA and CSEA, conference with labor negotiators, employee group NUMA, unrepresented supervisors and contracted management, and conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation. With that, we're going to close session. Thank you for coming this evening. evening, ladies and gentlemen. The March 16th, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Education is called to order. We have just returned from closed session. No action was taken. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Unless any board member wants to pull any item from the agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Member Hill, seconded by Member Jones to approve the agenda. Please vote. Oh, student member.
Yes.
Votes are in, 5 ayes.
Thank you. Next, employee organizations. Do we have anyone from NTA? Do we have anyone from CSEA?
Oops, yes, we have nobody from NTA or CSEA, but I do have Ms. Lizaday is here for NUMA. So, Ms. Rancap Perez, are you with us? Ms. Perez, you may begin. Ms. Rancap Perez, you may begin.
Thank you. Good evening, President Thomas, Board of Trustees, and Executive Cabinet members. At the beginning of this month, NUMA members planned and facilitated professional development sessions for our teachers. Elementary principals led their sites in using current iReady data to drive instructional planning for the last trimester. Our members continue to seek professional learning activities to broaden their knowledge and skill set. We continue to encourage our members to participate in these opportunities for professional growth. We would like to recognize the NUMA members who organized and participated in yesterday's reclassification celebration at Newark Memorial High School. It was great to see our communities come together to celebrate our students across the district for a momentous occasion. On behalf of NUMA, we thank all of our members for their collaboration, hard work, and true commitment to the Newark Unified School District community. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you very much. Next, we're moving on to public comment on non-agenda items. Branch Brewster.
Good evening, school board and members of the executive cabinet. My name is Branch Brewster. I'm here tonight because I run the student leadership program at Lincoln Elementary School along with my colleague, Mrs. Garrett, who couldn't be here tonight. But as part of our program, we were teaching our leadership students about having a voice in their community. So we wanted to encourage some of our students to come out tonight, witness this board process, and have a chance to address the board, and even though they're young, use their voice. So some students wanted to share what they do as part of leadership, some wanted to bring concerns that they have to your attention, and some haven't shown me their speech, so it's gonna be a surprise to me too. So we have 5 students tonight who are gonna be speaking to you and being engaged in the community and using their voice, so thank you.
Thank you very much. We look forward to it. Are they online?
No, so Kimberly Grover, come on up to the podium.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Grover. I'm a third grader at Lincoln Elementary. I'd like to talk about two things tonight. First, there is no math intervention at Lincoln. Many students need help in math, including myself. Second, our school has a cockroach infestation. I am scared to use the bathrooms because they hide. When you flush the toilet, they'll run out. Please give us the math support we need. Please help us get rid of the bugs. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, could you take a note to check on the bugs? Next, Lauren Grover.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Grover. I am a fifth grade student at Lincoln Elementary. I am part of student leadership. I want to talk about Spooktacular. Spooktacular is where you play games, eat, and hang out with your friends, and is also a fundraiser for leadership. During Spooktacular, I helped with games, scaring people in the haunted house, and setting up. I learned how to run games and collect tickets, which was more than that to me. I had to be a positive role model, and just watching the community come together was amazing. I want to thank my leadership teachers, Mr. Brewster and Ms. Garrett, for giving me the opportunity to be a leader. It is good to see you again, Ms. Jones, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Madhav, I don't know if that's pronounced correct, Sharma?
Hello. My name is Madhav Sharma, and I'm in grade 4 at Lincoln Elementary School. Today, I want to share how our school's leadership program led by Mr. Brewster and Ms. Garrett has helped me become responsible, respectful, and confident. During Halloween last year, we held an event called Spooktacular. This event had lots of fun things such as a haunted house, Clifford the Big Red Dog, and other amazing things, all put together by leadership students. Not only was it fun, but it brought the morale up for everyone after COVID. We had record turnout because it was so well done. The second thing we did in leadership was the Spirit Monkey. In the Spirit Monkey, leadership kids held a toy monkey and gave out candy to kids who were wearing blue and yellow. This was yet another thing that brought the morale up for everyone. After COVID, students were socializing awkwardly with each other, and the Spirit Monkey helped bring the school together. Finally, the leadership program allows leadership students to make morning announcements. These help students feel comfortable talking to the large audiences and boost their confidence. It also allows students to take responsibility toward their school and life. In all, the leadership program is unique to Lincoln Elementary, and it is helping shape the confidence of students like me who want to be in the public service when I grow up.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Christine Banga.
Hello everyone, my name is Christina Banga. I am a student from Lincoln Elementary School. I had the best time at the school. One of the best things I did was a Spooktacular and Valentine's Grams. But one thing I would like you to do is change the food a bit. Sometimes the food isn't too good, so I would love it if you change the food. Thank you.
Thank you. Was that Naomi? Okay, we have one more student, right? Naomi Ibarra?
Hi, board members. My name is Noemi Ibarra, and I'm a fourth grade student in Lincoln Elementary. Lincoln Elementary is a wonderful school where there are amazing, awesome fundraisers, such as the Spooktacular, Breakfast with Santa, and the Valentine's Grams. I love my school, but one thing a lot of students and I are hoping for are better food choices as well as better food qualities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My goodness, students, thank you so much. You really, did a good job addressing the board. And Mr. Brewster, hats off to you for bringing these students forward and letting us hear about it. Thank you. Rachel Bloom?
Hi, everyone. I wanted to come up super quickly and let everyone know that this week at Schilling and Coyote Hills is the Pi Day / Circle themed STEAM Week. So I'm sure you're going to learn more about the event because administrators will show pictures soon. In general, though, the idea is students go around, they rotate through the classes, do science, technology, engineering, art, math activities. When STEAM Week started, about 5 or so years ago, I was passionately opposed to them because STEAM Weeks are basically the antithesis of authentic STEAM. So in reality, STEAM isn't meant to be broken up into distinct disciplines like science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Not at all. The whole point of STEAM is to integrate it. So I think part of the problem is that people don't really understand or know what that could look like. I brought what I thought is kind of an integrated STEAM lesson. Third graders are supposed to understand how water flows, and so we learn about that. There's a chapter in the book. So we could read the book, we could take notes on the chapter, but we didn't. What we did instead is we painted how water flows from the mountains, brooks, streams, rivers, and to the ocean. And I love this activity for a few reasons. One is it integrates art. It gives us a break from boring note-taking. And then it provides students with an authentic opportunity to actually experiment. So what I do, and I think is kind of what's special about this, is the kids come in and I introduce them. I do a little tutorial about watercolors. Thank you, YouTube tutorials. And they paint. And I tell them, experiment with the amount of color, the amount of water, experiment with mixing. And so you get, on the first day, stuff like this. But then the next week when they come back, I have them try it again. And then you end up with things more like that, to show like one, an increased understanding opportunity of the actual content of how water flows, and some more knowledge about how watercolor works. And so I just wanted to give my 2 cents about it. I think sometimes lay people or just kind of people not in the classroom or just community members don't really know like what that is when we say let's do STEAM. And so I wanted to just show a little bit about one way that I think it can be used in the classroom. Thank you.
Is STEAM Week already over?
I mean, tomorrow is Friday, so they're going to finish up on Friday. But I think all the admins are collecting pictures and they'll show you. And so it's actually gone really well.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe next year we could, if we were not disruptive, could board members come and see what's happening?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The next one is going to be May the 4th. It's going to be a May the 4th /Star Wars /Forces STEAM Week. So
Could we get an invitation?
yeah, so I'll let you know when that is.
Thank you. Guadalupe Lopez.
Good evening, board member and administrators. Newark has been my home for many years. I own a business, and through the business, I have the honor to be part of so many people's lives. As I am proud to say that our family has truly integrated as part of the community by not only volunteering through different organizations, but finding ways to improve the community. My kids are products of Newark schools system, and I can say they not only had a great experience, but they were prepared to enter the college of their choice and keep up with the challenges a higher education represents. It saddens me to see it's no longer the case. Our schools are performing poorly, our students are behind, they are lacking services, facing hunger, and frankly, being abused. We can sit here and blame COVID pandemic, lack of funds, teachers leaving, and many other factors. But the reality, the real difference, is the environment they face. I believe as a community, we have failed our kids. We have a school board that doesn't care. A school board that has a political agenda. A board that believes they can run the district as they see fit. A board that believes the district funds are their personal wallet. And a board that prioritizes their agenda and not our kids. This week, a mother shared with me she has 2 children attending Children's School. One of them is in 3rd grade. She's so behind she can hardly read words, much less sentences. And this is 3rd grade. Another mother is worried about the summer coming up and the lack of programs for kids to be busy to attend some type of summer school. But the real punch, the real one that I felt to my gut, is when I read a post from a mother describing the experience. Her son's face when he urgently needed to go to the bathroom to relieve himself. This mother described how the students fear to go to the bathroom, as the bathroom is a location the students choose to smoke and bully others. This boy apparently asked 4 different school officials to allow him to use a different bathroom, and all 4 refused. The boy offered to call his mother to have her pick him up and take him home to the bathroom. This is shameful. Later, I conferred with a junior high student and was told many students avoid drinking water and sometimes even eating so they can last all day without going to the bathroom, as they fear being laughed at, shame, and he said one student even photographed as he was with his pants down. The photo was later published in social media. I was told by the 7th grader the school currently has only 2 bathrooms open, one for 6th graders and one for 7, 8 grades to share. This bathroom has 1 stall and 3 urinals. It's puzzling how, with the large population we have, the school believes 1 bathroom is enough. I know I would like to ask the board, do you know this is going on? Do you think this issue is priority? And I ask you, you ousted our superintendent at the cost of $350,000 plus whatever the new superintendent will cost us. Now, please ask yourself, how many tutoring programs hours you could have paid so our students could catch up? I see a lot of teachers here. How many raises could you have given to our teachers so they don't have to leave our district? How many hours of after-school programs could you have been created? And lastly, I will ask you,
Thank you, Ms. Wilk.
when your students are going to start taking priority, please ask yourselves.
Thank you. Ms. Lucia Gutierrez.
Good evening. Came here today to start off with a brief public service announcement. For the Clintons of this world who pride themselves in suing school districts, I'd like you to know that when you block school districts from visiting your own Facebook group, you also block yourself from seeing the school district's Facebook group. So please stop wasting student funds. Please stop wasting taxpayer funds with frivolous lawsuits, and please use how to use social media.
Thank you. I noticed Mr. Abruzzi is back and wasn't here when we called for employee organizations. Would you like to speak now?
Yes.
please.
Good evening, board. Good evening, district. Thank you. Sorry about that. NTA would like to give a shout out. NTA would like to give a shout out to Mrs. Kotaki, fourth grade teacher at BGI. Ms. Kotaki has experienced an unimaginable for a teacher when she received news that one of her students had passed away. Despite her grief, Mrs. Kotaki showed up at school every day for her students. She agreed with them, supported them, and comforted them in their time of need. She put aside her own needs because her students needed her. For many teachers, our students are our family. When something happens to them, we feel it. NTA should not have to use sick days because grieving the death of a student is not a sickness. NTA hopes this will never happen again. But if it does, teachers need meaningful time to grieve. Our students deserve the best. They deserve teachers who can take the time they need to heal. Thank you, and I appreciate that. Thanks.
Next, we move on to the superintendent's report.
I think we have public comment on agenda
Oh, I'm
items
sorry.
next. Thank you.
Thank you for calling that to my attention. For 9.1, Rachel Bloom.
So the funny thing about public comment on something is I'm commenting before the presentation even happens. So I believe Ariel's going to come up.
You know, we will allow you to wait until
No, I
after-
always have an opinion. I looked at the presentation already. So spoiler alert, about half of all elementary school kids read and do math below grade level. And Lucy Calkins is so bad that even Lucy Calkins says Lucy Calkins is bad. And the reason why I'm speaking now is because Ariel's presentation will kind of make it seem like the curriculum is the problem. Kids aren't learning to read because ELA curriculum is flawed. That's not the case. Kids aren't not learning to read because the curriculum is bad. Kids aren't learning because teachers aren't teaching. Teachers don't have time to teach because there are too many disruptive students in our classes. We have to spend too much time managing behavior, filling out PBIS forms. It gives us less time to actually teach. For example, 2 weeks ago, I was working on sound lessons with first graders. I wanted to pull a group. I couldn't because I had to debrief with a kid about a think sheet. A few weeks ago, again, with fourth graders, I was trying to help them make their graphs. I couldn't work with them and walk around and give feedback because I had to debrief with kids and deal with a disruptive student. You better believe that graphing is going to be on the 5th grade CAS test next year. They need to be able to do that. So here we are, behaviors happen. Teachers use their bag of tricks to manage behaviors. Sometimes that's not enough. So after in-class interventions don't work, we fill out a PBIS form, and then here's the thing. Nothing changes, nothing. Kids that were written up on day 15 of school are getting write-ups on day 28, 26, 44, 68, 101, 119. Nothing actually happens. There are no consequences that actually make the kids stop doing the unwanted behavior. All it is just teachers are constantly filling out forms. And that's why test scores are low. Scores aren't low because kids can't learn. Scores are low because kids aren't given the opportunity to learn. Their teachers can't teach. Their teachers have to spend way too much time managing classes. So I teach at Coyote Hills and Schilling, 2 elementary schools in the district with the lowest test scores. They also happen to be the schools with the largest population of Latino students, students of color, English language learners, students that come from a lower socioeconomic background. So here's what's effectively happening. You have 5 kids making the other 25 not be able to learn. All right? But those are just for one class. So you have, in each class, there's, let's say, 5 kids, and then the other 20, 25 can't learn. So at a school, that's hundreds of kids that can't learn. And it just so happens that most of those students are Latino, students of color, students with IEPs. And so We have hundreds of kids that can't learn. Now, we have PBIS so that admins can say, oh, we have fewer suspensions and da-da-da-da-da-da. But we need to do something. And so I'd like you to think about your values and your priorities. Are you okay with 5 students completely ruining the learning opportunities for other 25? I don't accept that. I don't think it's okay. I refuse to just throw up my hands and give up. Please encourage our district administrators to act. Have them empower our site administrators to intervene in the disruptive behavior. And once we do that, the iReady scores will go up, and so will the standardized test scores. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anyone that wants to speak on an agenda item can just note on here that they'd rather wait for the agenda item, or they can speak at the beginning of the meeting. Ms. Gutierrez wants to speak on 10.1. Board Bylaw 9300.11.
All right, good evening. As we have come to see, the school board members have the school board members can pretty much do whatever they want. So with regard to structure, and so this is the same with regards to structure of the agenda. It is your meeting. You can choose how to run it in any way you want. However, the members of the school board represent the students at the school district. In addition, parents and voters advocate for the students by contacting the board. So with that in mind, I hope you actually take into consideration students and families when making these decisions. A few families have reached out to me asking me why public comment was so late at the last meeting. The agenda was previously structured to have all student-related items towards the beginning of the meeting because previous administration and board wanted to encourage students and family to participate in board meetings. However, taking public at 8:30 is not telling students that and their families that you care to hear their voice or that you care to have them attend their meetings. Instead, at the last board meeting, your actions showed that hearing union leaders was more important than hearing the students. At the last board meeting, your actions showed that it was more important to get a facility update than to hear the students and allow them to go to sleep at a decent hour. If you approve the current method of operation, it will be a disservice to the students and the families, and you will be telling them that you don't care about what they have to say. You may claim that they will still have an opportunity to speak. However, it will be at the late hours, and that is not inviting to families, especially students who have early bedtimes. CSBA states that successful board meetings are focused on school achievement. However, that is not what's happening here anymore. In addition, when you were previously on the board, Nancy, there was a huge list of convoluted requests from the board. The superintendent at that time could not keep track of what requests were made by whom, or if the board majority had approved them or not. Therefore, the previous board restructured and redesigned agenda requests to make sure that all requests had board approval, since one member cannot request that the superintendent act, as it does require direction from the majority of the board. The currently proposed structure will allow for that confusion to come back. So in this situation, the president, who is the person running the meeting, will have to keep track of the order, keep track of the structure, keep track of the request, and make sure that appropriate approvals are given to the superintendent so that it's not taking up inappropriate staff time and in return, taxpayers' money. And with regards to how you take public comment, allowing it to be done during the agendized time or during each agenda item, the only person that you're really affecting is the person taking minutes. All you've done is added one more task to the many tasks that are already in place when it comes to running this meeting. So to me, that sounds like a lack of consideration for the staff.
Thank you. So I believe we are ready to move on.
I think Ms. Gutierrez also had a comment on 13.3.
Oh, thank you for. Thank you. Yes. The vacancy. Thank you. Sorry.
So it's no surprise that once again, the board has different rules for themselves and the rules that they demand for everyone else to follow. In the history of NUSD, the timeline of an appointment has always been based on the submission of the resignation to the Alameda County Department of Education. However, this board has now decided to do something differently and interpret the code in their favor. By doing this, the board has chosen to shorten the timeline for the public to apply to be a board member. You have shortened the window for the community to participate in this appointment process and to think about possibly applying to be a board member. If this action was taken by the previous board and administration, they would have been accused of fraud and attempting to rig an election. I wonder if those comments also apply to this board. Maybe this board just wants to allow their friends to apply instead of the community at large. Expecting these kinds of actions has now become the norm, so I cannot say that I'm surprised, but I am once again disappointed and saddened for our community.
Thank you. There's been a request, Board, that we move item 11.3 up to the next, to be handled next, because there are several principals here. So if it's okay with you, can we move 11.3 up? Okay, so next we will take 11, oh, do I need a motion?
We'll just do it just in case.
Okay, we'll just do it.
I move to approve, I move to move agenda item 11.3 up. May I get a second?
Second.
Okay, Member Fong, Member Nguyen has moved and Member Hill has seconded to move 11.3 up. Please vote. Student member, how do you vote?
Yeah. Yes.
You know, you can just break in and vote yes.
I'll do this as a roll call. Thank you. So student member is a yes. Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Thank you. Member Jones?
Yes.
Thank you. Member Hill?
Yes.
And President Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, 11.3 is a universal communications platform. Acting Superintendent.
Thank you so much. We had a reclassification ceremony last night. Our principals were up pretty late last night, so I appreciate this. I'm going to invite the principal of Coyote Hills Elementary up to the podium. Please come on up. You're not going to speak right away, but you're going to help. And Olivia Wong of BGI. There are two, yeah, give them a round of applause. They are two piloting principles of the platform that we're going to discuss a little bit more in depth tonight. And so at the end, because these are the two principals who have actually used the platform, they're here graciously giving up their time to answer any questions that you may have about the platform. And I want to thank you both again for being here 2 late nights in a row. So we are looking at a universal communication platform tonight. The reason for this is because during our 22-23 LCAP SIPSA process, and so it says year 22-23, remember that process happens in 21-22. Our community, in the process of giving feedback, and just as a recap for our community, the way we do this is we go to each school site, we get LCAP feedback, we collect that feedback, and then that informs our LCAP. And overwhelmingly, when we ask the question of our parents, how can we better support parent involvement? And specifically ask the question, what do you see as the strengths of our communication systems to engage families, and what can we do better? They all told us that what they really want is a universal communication platform. They want the same platform that they use in kindergarten to be the platform they use for high school. They don't want to switch between the many platforms we have. And so part of what I believe Director of Special Projects Abby Cairns has shared at her LCAP mid-year review is how we're using our dollars. And that's right there on 2.9 for our LCAP this year, communication platform and technology support. So we had budgeted about $100,000 for both the platform and to increase with an IT technician hired in our IT department. We have yet to actually move forward with this purchase, and so we wanted to make sure we chose the right platform. So again, early feedback was that School Messenger is cheaper, and we use PeachJar right now to supplement. It's a free district license, and schools use a variety of platforms, everything from ClassDojo to PeachJar to Blooms to a variety of other options to augment what we offer through School Messenger. So given the size of our district, again, what parents said is that it would be really convenient if we just had one common tool. One of the items that did come up through that process was Parent Square, but it is a little bit more expensive than what we would see. It's about $25,000 for the regular license, and you'll see it's a little bit more if you decide to move forward with the premium tonight. It is a cost, but it is a cost in a goal area that we want to improve, which is communication, specifically in communication with our families. So just to give a little bit of timeline, we selected Parent Square to pilot because we didn't want to make a decision without that, since our community asked us to really look into that option. We did our EduPoint data sync in August of this year. We continued to use Bloom, School Messenger, PeachStar, and Class Dojo with the other schools. Our pilot schools, again, Coyote Hills and BGI. And then in February, we engaged with our principals, and we did some pros and cons for each of these, asking which one do you prefer. Unanimously, principals chose Parent Square. So today we're coming forward with a board engagement, and we hope to be able to roll out a universal platform in March, not as a full rollout, but really just to get people used to the platform, learn it, test it, and then do a full rollout in August of next year. This was our engagement with principals. We specifically looked at sort of the top three: maintaining School Messenger, Class Dojo, and then Parent Square. You can see some of their opinions there, some pros and cons. And we really looked at both elementary and secondary too. They do have different needs, but we were trying to find a platform that would work for all of them. And again, principals really do prefer Parent Square, in part because of the functionality that Parent Square offers. They do automatic translation. So if a school sends out a message in English, it'll be received by the parent in the language of their choice. Not just Spanish, but other options as well. So that was one of the functionalities that was really desired, right? It can also happen directly from teachers. So you can do smaller groups messages as well. So teachers can be sending out a message to a parent. It will automatically translate for them. It also has other functionalities. Again, I'm going to let our principals speak a little bit more to that, but it includes setting up parent-teacher conferences. It includes things, if we do the premium route, secure docs, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that now. The automatic preferred language, here's a sample of this. School sends a message out in English, automatically translates in Spanish. Parent can reply in Spanish, and it'll automatically show up as English for the receiver, if that is their choice, their language of choice. Obviously, we might have some teachers who prefer Spanish, in which case it will show up in Spanish, their preferred choice. There's also forms and permission slips that can happen through Parent Square as well, again, two-way translated. So that's another option. Parent-teacher conferences, I got a little ahead of myself here. And then there's the secure docs and community groups. Now, again, this is only if we go with the premium route. But what this would allow us to do is send documents such as state test scores, IEPs, report cards, other legally binding documents, which we cannot do or we should not be doing via email now. But this would allow us the option to do that. So this really is not just this would be nice, but this really could improve the functionality of our district. What they promote out is increased contactability. And I just want to give a quick sample here. We sent out our Silver Learning emails to all of our parents. Miss Abby Cairns actually sent out all 2,000 emails instead of going through School Messenger, because it needed to, the functionality of School Messenger did not allow her to send a personalized message. So she literally maxed out the amount of emails she is allowed per day and was cut off for email for 24 hours that day. Because that's all you're allowed with Google, apparently. We found that out that day. And so what she also found is out of that 2,000 emails, 500 bounced back. And so that's 500 phone calls that now we're doing to say, hey, we need updated information. One of the things that Parent Square does is it does talk about contactability, and it allows you to continue to refine that over time, so you don't try it once, realize you have 500 and need to make that fix. Every single time it gives you that notice, and what they boast is that they end up increasing the contactability of the parents within the district. It also has analytic reporting and dashboards. I just put 3 samples up here. You can see it across the district, a principal can see it across their school, and a teacher can see it across their classroom. So our recommendation tonight is to actually go with the premium, but again, you can also choose the regular option, or you could give us other direction tonight. We do believe that Parent Square is the right way to go for our district, and we do believe that if we get it started now, it'll give us a chance to really roll out strong in 23, 24. And with that, I'm going to have, if my principals want to say anything, they can, or they can also just field questions.
I'll begin. Good evening. Thank you for inviting me here to give some feedback tonight regarding Parent Square. I began using this platform this year. And the great thing about this platform is it's very user intuitive. You're able to text, you're able to send phone calls. An example, we had our power out at our school at Coyote Hills, and I was able to use Parent Square to alert our community. And there's different choices of how you can alert your parents. And it went to all of the parents included, and it even hit some of the emergency contacts, so the message got out immediately. So it's a great way to get information out, and there's so many ways to set up Parent Square. You can set up individual classroom groups, or your PTO group, or your ELAC group, and the user could choose how they receive their information, whether it's on a digest, coming in at a certain time. You can, as the administrator, you can also override messages sent out. So I'm very happy with using it thus far, and I have a couple teachers on site who are a staff member, but they also have children in other districts, so they use the same tool to receive information about their own children and get updates about our school. So I've had nothing but good reviews thus far from Parent Square.
Hi, thank you for considering Parent Square. I was looking for a platform from our site because we also use several different platforms as classroom teachers are communicating with their parents. So with Parent Square, we're finding that it is an easy tool. Parents who are pulled in from Synergy, they're automatically pulled in every 24 hours and updated. So when I send a message, if a parent changes their phone number or changes their email, I get a notification and I can see exactly whose email is bouncing back within 24 hours. The other thing is that parents don't need a code. So they just have to register at our school and they're automatically entered into Parent Square. So it's been very helpful with new families and just having that consistency across our school.
I want to add one more thing. We've had the opportunity to work with a rep from Parent Square. We've had a couple, she's very accessible, so she's been a huge help to troubleshoot when we've run across problems. So they're very supportive with implementing Parent Square.
Ms. Nguyen?
So thank you for your comments, and that was one of my questions, was that, is it integrated with Synergy? And you had indicated that it does, so that is a big plus to hear. The only other question I would have for staff is, for the premium license, is that a one-time license fee or is that an annual license fee?
So that would be an annual fee. I do believe it would be slightly less. It'd be about $2,500 less because there is a $2,500 sort of setup fee for the district. So if it's 33, the annual would be 31. 25 would be 23. Okay. Now that being said, we do have that funding already set in our LCAP for this year, and then we have rollover funds to carry over the rest. So that it is a fully funded initiative already.
Okay, so that was the leading question. So thank you for that. And yes, I think that any tool that is useful and is efficient for staff and families to be able to communicate with each other is something that we should definitely invest in. And the mere fact of us trying to get away from multi-platforms and being at every site having the same platform, I think that's really wonderful. So thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Has secondary used it at all? Do you know, has secondary piloted or experienced using it?
I do not believe, we did not pilot it at Newark Memorial, and we did not pilot at Bridgepoint or Crossroads. They were involved in the conversations. They both unanimously chose Parent Square just based off of the feedback, and their voices were certainly heard in that process as well. I'm sorry, I'm pausing for a second because I remember Ms. Calderon specifically saying something about how they liked that over some of the other platform options because of I want to say the maturity level or something like, getting a little bit of feedback there, but I can't remember her exact comment. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. Other question is, what are the teachers saying about it?
I do have some of my teachers using it regularly. One of my teachers who claims not to be so tech savvy said even for her, she says it's so easy to use and it's so intuitive that it's just something that's not as fearful as she thought. But she found that with the communication piece, when she posts a message, parents can respond and it can be a private message to her, or she can make it a public so that it's not seen by all the families. So she likes that feature of having the communication right within the Parent Square app or on the online features.
Member Hill?
Thank you. I have a few questions, and if we can maybe take them one at a time. So you went over it quickly, but I didn't catch it. So how many current platforms do we have across the district? And like who's supporting them, and what are the associated costs? I mean, just give me an estimate.
School Messenger normally runs around $10,000 a year. Peachjar is currently a free platform, but we really only use it for flyers, which is a capability within Parent Square. Class Dojo, I want to say, is free as well. Class Dojo you can still use for points and things like PBIS, but it does have a communication feature. And I think you can pay for like a more premium, but I think right now it's being used with a free model as well.
And who's supporting these currently?
I don't have a list of schools. Do you guys want to help me out? Do you guys know?
I believe that majority of those are just teacher managed.
Okay, so it's not managed by our IT department? Okay.
Thank you. We have a teacher in the audience helping us out a little bit. So Schilling only does Class Dojo, and who only does Blooms?
Coyote Hills.
Coyote Hills used to do Blooms,
We only use Blooms.
only use Blooms,
And
and now Parent Square.
Okay, the second question is, so now the new platform, Parent Square, so the $33,000 buys us the software license. It's an annual license. And it's site-wide? I mean, meaning it's across the entire district? Okay,
Yes,
it's not
district-wide.
user-based?
District-wide.
Okay.
We pay by student. And so it's $450 per student for the regular, and I want to say $6 for the premium.
Okay, so you came up with that number by multiplying out the students?
Yes, and we
Okay.
did get a formal quote from our vendor as well.
Okay, and then what, do we have a sense of implementation costs? So, getting it set up and then doing any associated training, and then also like ongoing support?
Yeah, so we've done actually the heavy lifting already, just a pilot in terms of the sync. So our IT department did much of that work. We're sort of ready to hit the ground running now that we've already gotten the sync with Synergy. That was really the heavy lifting here, and we were able to accomplish it with the pilot. We would have had to do it anyway because we did have some school sites saying, we're gonna do Parent Square. So we wanted to help them and be responsive to them as well. In terms of the costs of training, most of that training they're doing as part of the program. And again, they've been incredibly responsive about that. So it would be, we would love to kind of work on a train the trainer model. They may not know it already, but our two principals up here then would be responsible for also supporting training our other principals. And we would sort of work out in our system, most likely before the school year starts and towards the end of this year as we roll it out.
Okay, so currently Parent Square is providing training, but you're thinking that from a rollout perspective, it would be train the trainer. And then that would be ongoing, it would be handled by the different sites as you're trying to bring people up. And then from a supporting standpoint, are you gonna have different people at different sites? So, as they're, because inevitably there are gonna be issues, right? You gotta get new people set up, somebody forgot their password, how's all that stuff gonna get handled?
So that'll be primarily the principals, just like they are with School Messenger, just like they are with Blooms if they're using Blooms, or Class Dojo for Class Dojo. I know I was at BGP recently, and Miss Ditto, every week they actually spend a few hours onboarding all of the new students because it doesn't directly sync with Synergy. So for instance, we had a parent who was actually quite upset because they were pulled, they had said, okay, we're gonna leave the district, so they were pulled from Class Dojo thinking, okay, they're gonna leave, and then they didn't leave and they felt really left out because they were no longer getting the communications. This wouldn't happen with Parent Square because Synergy will automatically sync, so Miss Ditto and her office staff don't have to spend the couple hours every Friday trying to keep it updated.
Okay. And just one thing I want us just to be cognizant of, because, I mean, it seems like a cool system, right? But no system gets set up by itself. And sort of a rule of thumb, around a lot of these systems is you've got the license cost or the software cost, and usually implementation cost is 2x, right? And so if you spend 30,000, in terms of implementation costs, you're spending 60,000. And so, and we're saying that that it's kind of embedded, Parent Square is going to do this for us, and then we're going to do a lot of this ourselves. But I think we just need to be really cognizant of this and really watch this carefully, because that's how software implementation efforts fail is, basically it's cool software, but there's nobody really there to set it up and to maintain it. So, and then just one final question, and that is, these existing systems that we're going to retire, is there any information in those systems that we have to archive, right? Or like keep, or can we just like shut them down? And hopefully we don't have to migrate any data, right? Do we have to migrate any data from any of these systems?
No, so we wouldn't have to migrate any data. There are some systems like PeachJar that you might see sort of still around, because again, we have an MOU. It's a free program to us currently. But I think what you're going to start to see is a gradual less use as people become more and more comfortable with Parent Square.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to ask in the future that we try to have 2 questions, and then we'll come back to you if you have some more. The only question I have is, do you anticipate any pushback from people that want to continue using PeachJar, Class Dojo, or one of the current?
One question that was brought up was if Parent Square has, for example, Class Dojo and Blooms uses different portions of their site to support PBIS, but I know the representative we've been meeting with Parent Square, they're very open to feedback, so I'm sure they would consider some kind of support if we haven't learned about that yet. So they're very receptive to feedback, and they want to find the answers.
Okay, so we want to make sure that issues like that are in place before we roll it out next year.
If that's something that teachers would like, yes.
Or need.
Or need, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
But otherwise, there's been no pushback from that. They've been very grateful for it.
And teachers can still maintain Class Dojo, right? Schools can still maintain. It just, the work on the back end, we should be aware of what that work looks like.
Okay. Are there any further comments or questions?
I'll just make a comment. Well, obviously, I'm not a parent, and I probably won't be for a little bit longer, so I don't know much about these platforms. My mom probably does. But I would say as a student, it's really difficult when you have to manage between different platforms, like from class to class. When one class uses Google Classroom and another just emails all your work, or another one will just use a different website for all the work. So having one central platform for all the messages is really helpful, and especially for our community, that I think right now we're at a moment where a lot of people, well, I know for me, and a lot of students don't really check our emails or don't check every single platform that we have. So I think having one central platform is really beneficial to the community.
Thank you. If there's no further comments, I would entertain a motion, and staff is recommending the premium.
That is what we were recommending.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommended action by staff.
I'll second.
Member Nguyen made the motion, and Member Jones seconded it to follow the staff recommendation for the premium version. Please vote. Student member.
Yes.
If you're wondering why the pause in voting, we have an online system that we wait until it comes up and allows us to put in our vote. And that's why it takes a minute or so.
Thank you. Votes are in. 5 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next, I think we have the acting superintendent report.
All right, for March 16th, I will try to move just as quickly because I know we've got quite a few presentations tonight, but I get really excited about this report because I get to share all the amazing things happening across Newark. First, our monthly enrollment update. As you can see here, we are still down students in enrollment. It's about the same from about a month ago. And I'd also like to update us just on how we did during our enrollment priority window. So during this time, again, our priority enrollment window was from February 7th to March 7th. During that time, we had a total of 2,096 returning, 2,384 total. And so we still have a long ways to go if we're going to get to that. We've got about half of our families that have registered during this time. That includes, out of those students, TKers, we've got 97 that have enrolled, 53 that are already in seats, meaning they finished the process. And they are in seats ready to go. For kindergarten, we have 154 with 75 in seats, and then at other grade levels, so these are not our returning, these are new student registrations, we have 37 with 18 in seats. We do want to note that our DLI program has almost doubled the early interest, so that's really promising, and we want to continue those efforts. So, families, if you're out there and you're listening, please go register if you haven't already. We had our multilingual awards. We had a reclassification ceremony last night. It was a really beautiful expression of cultural joy. And so I just want to take a moment to highlight for our whole community. We do have the state seal of biliteracy for our graduating seniors. These are seniors who have demonstrated proficiency in at least 2 languages. We have over 20 students that we're going to bestow this award to in their senior year. We also have bilingual service and participation awards happening at 5th and 8th grades. We have specific programs for our DLI program, or awards for our DLI program. And we also had our annual reclassification award ceremony. As you can see there, we tripled our attendance for this ceremony. It was amazing. It was truly full of joy, everything from taiko drumming to folklorico to just really getting a chance to celebrate in community. Yeah, you see 2 of our board members right there in the audience. We also have our HATS assembly tomorrow and the rally tomorrow night. I'm sure Member Torres can tell us more about this event, but I'm looking forward to going tomorrow night, and I wanted to make sure the community was aware as well. It's also Women's History Month. I want to take a moment to really truly value all of the women working across our district in every field. We really could not do this work without them, whether they serve on the board, whether they serve in the classroom, whether they serve in the cafeteria, or they serve in the auditorium. It doesn't matter what they do, they make our district stronger, and we appreciate them. It's also Youth Art Month. So there's a lot of activities happening across the district. This is one of our art classrooms here. So we look forward to sharing with you next session in April some of the artwork that students actually created during this time. Ms. Bloom discussed our Pi Day activities. So those are happening at Schilling and Coyote Hills Elementary. We do have some samples, but I look forward to sharing with you some of that work, and then hopefully we'll share that event ahead of time so board members can attend in May. We have a Newark Community Scholarship Fund. So this is really for our seniors. We want to make sure all of our seniors know that we have about $34,000 in scholarships for students continuing their education. Please apply. It is tinyurl.com Newark Scholarship. If you don't know already, talk to your counselor and make sure you take advantage of this fund. We are looking for freshmen here to join our Media and Communications Academy at Newark Memorial High School. They are currently recruiting students for their 10th grade class. So if you're a freshman, please reach out to your counselors, get that information, and sign up. As you can see there, they clearly have a good time. We're also doing our attendance challenge, Spring into Action. Right now, on the right there, you see pictures from the high school ward. They had I want to say an ice machine come out for all the students who earned it. So you see them enjoying their treat after being bestowed the award. We also have our elementary Cougar Cup in full action. You can see the schools who won, Kennedy, Schilling, and Birch Grove Intermediate last week, but every week is a new week, so we'll see what happens in round 2 this week. We have National Groundwater Week happening as well. March is the month of activities. So they came to all of our 7th grade classrooms at the Newark Junior High School and presented information to them. You see some pictures there in each of the classrooms. We also have the Ohlone Culture Program. This is our 3rd graders of Coyote Hills Elementary. That's where these pictures are from, and this is at Coyote Hills Regional Park. And coming up soon, we have Lincoln's 2nd Annual Family Science Day, where they'll have a series of community partners there. Right now, specifically, Lincoln has taken on environmental literacy as one of their areas of focus for professional development. And so this will be the 2nd year in a row we do it. We also have a Girls Who Code After School Club at the junior high. So any students that are interested, again, please reach out to Carol Rose. This is an amazing program. It's about 10 sessions. It'll go right after school, and it starts on March 15th. So please sign up if you're interested. This really is an amazing program, and Ms. Rose has done some tremendous work. We have a transition town hall for all NUSD special education families who are interested. They're going to really discuss the transition of elementary to middle, middle to high school, and high school to adult school as well, and adulthood. So if you are interested in that, please reach out to our Director of Special Education, Olivia Rangel, who can give you some more information. In addition to that, we also have Getting the Right Support, the connection between eligibility, goals, and services. This is offered by our Mission Valley SELPA in partnership with Newark Memorial High School, with Newark Unified School District. And so if you're interested in that as well, it is part of our dues for the SELPA, so we really want to encourage more of our families to take advantage of these opportunities. We are also sponsoring Joy Prom. So this will be at Newark Memorial High School, but it's for all of our students in Mission Valley SELPA, so that includes New Haven as well as Fremont Unified. And this is for all of our special education students from 4 to 8. It is their version of prom, and we expect it to be an amazing event. Finally, this was a request from the board last time to do a quick Wi-Fi timeline and update. So right now, we are in the phases of trying to get the project planning done, and we're waiting for the hardware to be shipped from the manufacturer. Once that is shipped, we will go ahead and install the Wi-Fi controllers. They'll be configured and ready for initial testing and when complete testing. We're not done then. Then we want to work on phase 2, really getting our quotes for the remaining access points that we want upgraded. But right now, our priority is the high school and the junior high is the next. I don't want to forget tomorrow, St. Patrick's Day, so happy early St. Patrick's Day to everyone, and we hope that you really have a great rest of your week and weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. So next I will return it. Any questions or comments? Sorry.
I would like to say, yes, please come to our HATS performance tomorrow. It's going to be a wonderful performance. We are currently in Spirit Week, and you can't really see on my hand because I kind of wiped it off a little too early, but I have some henna that some students did for me at lunch. It was a really fun event. This whole week has been super fun, and I can't wait to see it tomorrow because everyone's going to be dressing up in their cultural clothes, so that's going to be really wonderful to see, so I hope you come. And also with Joy Prom, yes, our leadership has been working really hard to get that through and get that accomplished. And so I'm glad to see that it was highlighted on the superintendent report. And lastly, the ice cream thing, yes, I was there. I got some. It was really good. Seniors on top because we had the best attendance. And we're going to continue that.
All right. So are you going to be there tomorrow night? Because that's when I'm going.
Yes, I will be there all day.
Way to be attendance role model, seniors.
So I just want to make a really quick comment. Last night, I was also there at the reclassification celebration, and it was a wonderful event. I was there last year, so we did have triple the attendance, like acting or interim superintendent Pierce stated. But I also just really wanted to highlight two student individuals who really helped out with the lighting and the sound, because without them, we wouldn't have the beautiful production that they were able to give us. So I just wanted to really appreciate Ale Rani Castaneda and Leila Malakara for stepping up and really helping improve the event for our whole community. So thank you. And then also Sophia Rollins, because she coordinated and helped bring the two individuals in. So thank you, girls, for helping out and being amazing partners in the community and allowing the events to happen beautifully. So thank you.
Okay, yes, Member Hill?
Could you pull up the enrollment slide one more time, please? So we're doing this from the projection versus from the last time. So what I mean is that like traditionally we've been sort of looking at, okay, so I mean obviously the projection was a long time ago, but then we're sort of tracking each sort of whatever the reporting period is, whether it's monthly or whatever. And so I'm just curious, do we know what it was the last time we reported it?
I don't have that in front of me, but I could pull up the last superintendent report. I am noticing a quick, that needs to say enrollment 31023. So I'm noticing a quick error that I'm fixing in real time, but you won't be able to see it. And so I'd have to pull it up to show the difference. If you'd like, during my next superintendent update, I can absolutely add sort of month to month so you can see that if that's or we could even just start doing like a line chart. I think that could be a really easy way, sort of follow the way it's been done in the past, but there's no reason we can't do it differently.
Right, I was asking the same question because you had mentioned that there wasn't much of a change since last time, and that begs the question, well, what was the change from the last month?
Yeah.
But, so that sounds like a good solution. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Superintendent, it's your call to introduce the staff reports.
Thank you. So next up, we do have a presentation on curriculum and assessment update. For this, I'd like to bring up our Director of Teaching and Learning, Ariel Dolowich, as well as our Coordinator of Access and Equity, Heather Decker.
Let's start from the beginning. No problem. Little preview there. All right, good evening, members of the board. For tonight's presentation, we will focus on two presentation outcomes. So one is going to give a mid-year growth report with a comparison between fall and winter iReady data, and then also draw a correlation between iReady data and SBAC, which is our summative end-of-the-year assessment results. And then second, we will share an update with respect to staff results from a district-wide survey. We know English Language Arts K-8 curriculum has been a hot topic, so we'll share those district-wide results as well as our engagement with Curriculum and Assessment Council. Before we compare the data, I'm just going to root us in the winter report. The winter window, January 30th through February 24th. And if we look at this by itself, just a few things to note for reading comprehension. One, total students assessed does not include TK, nor the majority of the junior high or high school. Some English language learners are assessed at the secondary level, but the vast majority of students are not, so primarily K-5. So you see that with the total students assessed there. And then one positive way to view these results is to look at grouping those two green bars at or above grade level. So you can see here clearly 54% are at or above grade level, 31% one grade level below with yellow, and then 15% two or more grade levels. So just to kind of root ourselves, if we disaggregate this by grade level, you can see over to the right, total students assessed. So the vast majority of our K-5 students were assessed for reading with this winter window. You can see, for example, kinder and grade 3, for example, two grade levels that have the most in terms of both green bands, 66% at the kinder level, and then third grade, you can see 64%. So just kind of root ourselves in what the data is telling us. Mathematics, similarly, you can see total students assessed, not TK or the junior high or high school. A little bit lower, and we know math is the main content or subject area that we wish to improve in as a district. Similarly at the state level, but you can see right here, 46% are at grade level or above. According to iReady, again, it's just one measure for teachers, but it is, I think, the most useful regular assessment tool we have at the elementary level, so we want to bring it here this evening. Again, if you look at this disaggregated by grade level, is that someone else? No. There we go. If you look at this disaggregated by grade level, you can see, for instance, grade 3 and grade 4 especially. Grade 4, for instance, 50% at grade level or above. So not where we ultimately want to be, but want to share with you the winter report so that we can look at the comparison with the fall window. So fall window occurred October 11th to November 4th. And so we're gonna do a little deep data dive together and compare and see if there's any growth, as well as some optimism and hope that it may provide. So if you look at reading, you can see the winter bar is at the top, and you can see the fall bar is the second one below. And if you look at those, the fall bar, for example, with the two greens, 43% total for at grade level or above. At the winter level, the green bar becomes 51%. So we do see growth there. And at the very bottom, you can see the number of students that were in a respective category, and then how many students changed and in which direction. So you can see here, 421 students were one grade level below in the yellow, and then that raised up to 468. If we continue on, we can look at this by grade level. And again, since kinder was not assessed in the fall, really no data for kinder comparatively at the winter. But if you look at grade 1 and grade 2, you can see, for example, grade 2 jumps out, and you can see that difference between fall and winter. If you go on to grades 3 through 5, you can see progress that has been made. Specific with grade 3, for example, you can see a total of 52% in the fall, and then in the winter, you can see 65%. So with respect to mathematics, there is growth, and this is reading. And so just to draw your attention to the overview here, 3 grade levels experienced double-digit growth. I think that's very positive, and recognition of our teachers that deserves to be celebrated. Even at grades 4 and 5, there is growth, 4 or 3% respectively, with reading. And then math, as mentioned before, the subject area we want to improve significantly in, and you can see here fall, a total of 33% in the fall at grade level or above, and then that goes up to 44% in math overall for mathematics, and we disaggregate that by grade level. Again, kinder, disregard, no kinder assessment in the fall. But you can see, for example, here, grade 2, jumping up from 30% to 48% in grade 2. That deserves some celebration. And then finally, grades 3, 4, and 5. And you can see, for example, grade 3 jumping up there from, let's see, 37% to 49%. So they're experiencing some growth there. Again, one measure of our growth, and if you look at math, 4 out of the 5 grade levels experienced double-digit growth in iReady. Not only useful for parent conferences, but also for planning purposes as grade levels plan collaboratively. So 4 out of 5 grade levels in math, all 5 experienced some growth and didn't go in the wrong direction. And then I think the ultimate question is there that correlation between iReady and SBAC? And I appreciate the board raising this up. And so let's just jump into this. The fact of the matter is it is not apples to apples. We're going to look at 2 different grade levels here, 4th grade in reading and math, and then 5th grade in reading and math. You can see, however, for example, SBAC for 21-22, it categorizes it as exceeded, met, nearly met, not met. So in Ed Services, we did our best to correlate that to what iReady states as middle of grade level or above, early on grade level, 1 grade level below, or 2 or more below. If you look at this, for example, exceeded and middle and above, there's a similarity there, 24% to 29%. But you can also see, for example, 1 grade level below and nearly met, not so similar in terms of a comparison. But if you look at 4th grade math, for instance, you can see generally that the SBAC results from 21-22 do correspond with iReady results. I think, if anything, one theme that emerges from this is that iReady, if it's just as rigorous as the SBAC, or perhaps even more rigorous than the SBAC, you see this, for example, in grade 5. You can see that a total met and exceeded for the SBAC, 49%. And then you can see for mid above, early on, put those 2 together, and it's pretty similar, 43%. If you look at math, for example, grade 5 math, you can see that it's more of a comparison, a little bit similarity in terms of where those bars end up. And you can see that just in generally gleaning that across the bar graphs for grade 5. Ultimately, for us, we're celebrating good news with our staff. We did this on March 3rd with the PD. We've had 2 professional developments that allow for collaboration and then sites to collaborate with one another. We absolutely want to lift up double-digit growth with grades 1 through 3 in both English and math. This falls under one of our instructional priorities, which is assessment for learning. And then our instructional leadership teams with their principals, they inform staff meetings with this and site-based decisions. So just some quotes from teachers highlighting the fact that they appreciated collaboration around some of this data. Also the celebration, it's always nice to see growth in the right direction. And in fact, fall to winter showed this, especially with math. 4 out of 5 grade levels had double-digit growth. So I'm happy to answer any questions. This is really the conclusion of part 1. So part 2 of this focuses on our Ed Services update with respect to the ELA curriculum K-8 and then the staff survey results. So March 8th, we met again with Curriculum Council, and we received direction from them after analysis. So I'm going to ask Heather Decker, our coordinator of equity and access, to come on up and join me and speak a little bit about that process.
Good evening, everyone. For those watching at home, our staff, our students who are here with us, and our board members.
I'm going to go over our timeline of events so far and the next steps based on the feedback about our ELA curriculum. We want to recap what we've done up until today, and overall our intention is to be responsive to the feedback from our staff and community and take steps necessary to pilot a program for next year. So once again, this survey is about staff's feelings and feedback, and it's not correlated with data testing as far as students' outcomes. This is really about how staff felt using this curriculum and what their experiences were like. So going through these pieces, you've seen this at the last meeting, so what we've done so far. We have had 6 curriculum assessment council meetings this year with dedicating significant time to talking about the topic of this curriculum. In order to better understand the satisfaction and the experiences from our staff, we provided a feedback survey for them. The survey was sent out via email to the K-8 staff in February, and we had 83 people respond to the survey. After the survey was completed, Ariel and I tabulated the results and presented them to the Curriculum Assessment Council at our March 8th meeting. From there, the council was offered 2 options as far as next steps. On the top of our timeline, they could recommend a new curriculum adoption and a formation of an adoption committee. Or the bottom of our timeline, if they recommended to maintain our current curriculum, they would talk about different supports staff would need to continue that curriculum. So this is a recap from last time. At our March 8th meeting, the council was given norms to understand the data and gave time to review what the survey results found. They discussed noticings and wonderings as a whole group conversation. The data was from the survey reinforced the feelings the council had about the satisfaction and success of the ELA curriculum. I will share some of the highlights from the data to give everyone an overview of what the survey found. When looking at our data, I want to say in advance that the scale was rated on 1 to 4, 1 being the lowest score and 4 being the highest score possible. We gave people a 1 through 4 scale because if you know anything about statistics, if you give them a 5 option, everyone will pick 3 in the middle and you won't really force anybody to make a choice. So we picked 4 to make sure they made a choice. With that in mind, across all questions that you will see tonight, no response received a score higher than a 1.7. So just know that. Question 1, how do they feel about the ELA curriculum? The average score was about 1.5, so with 59% picking a score of a 1. When we went into what positively impacted them across many of the areas within the curriculum, they could select as many of them as they wanted out of that list. They also could provide topics of their own. As you can see on here, staff indicated 33 of them mentioned meaning making as something that was positive within the current curriculum. They also talked about in their quotes about students being able to pick books at their grade level, being able to do fictional writing, and mentioned a bunch of the interventions that they were using currently. When we asked how successful they felt with the curriculum, the average score was a 1.3 with 49% picking a level of 1 on satisfaction. When we dove into it, asking them what's not working for your students, they were given the same lists of areas of the curriculum and were allowed to pick as many as they wanted. About 50% of the staff selected items that were not working at the highest, including phonics and decoding. One quote stated, "The current program has assumptions about the level of comprehension that a lot of students don't have. Explicit grammar instruction is missing, as well as ELL support." Quotes went on to continue to talk about things like, "Not easy to follow, does not provide supports for students with learning differences or intervention components for students who are 2 or more grade levels below. Teachers were modifying the curriculum significantly in order to fit the needs of their students, and there was great holes in our DLI curriculum." When we wanted to talk about what trainings or supports would be needed to be beneficial of this curriculum, 50% of them mentioned phonics and decoding, and many quotes were mentioning needing supports for science of reading. They went on to talk about spending a significant amount of time having to prep, create, or modify the curriculum in order to be able to teach lessons, and that the professional development that has been provided wasn't working. The current curriculum may support successful readers, but does not address the needs of struggling students. They then broke it down by specific target group areas. I'm not going to spend too much time on each one, but just noting, we did break it down by how did they feel it was supporting the needs of our English language learners. Average score was a 1.3. Students with IEPs, as I flip through my slides, as you can tell, about 69% also gave it a 1 rating with an average score of 1.3. For our dual language immersion program, the average score was a 1.17, which was the lowest out of the options. And as far as intervention supports for students, they gave it an average score of a 1.22. The final part of the survey asked what additional resources they would need. Staff lifted up success with teacher-created materials instead of using the current curriculum has been what they've most been doing. They need a lot of phonics and differentiated instructions for struggling students. And overall, it doesn't feel like a standalone curriculum, but more of a supplement. With that data, the Curriculum Assessment Council met on March 8th, went through this data analysis, had discussions, and determined the next steps. By unanimous vote, they voted to create an ELA adoption committee and look at beginning piloting materials for next year. There's already a lot of interest and excitement from the committee to join from the council members that we already have. I'm now going to hand it over to Ariel to talk about the composition of what that committee would look like.
All right, so as a part of that process, we shared with them a comprehensive project management plan. As a piece of that, it included Heather and I as project managers, ensuring that we have one teacher from each grade level, and we have equal representation from across the sites. That was important for our council members. And then, of course, we want to have a representative from our special education group, as well as DLI and an English language learner representative. So we want to make sure that our significant subgroups are represented. And there is excitement, and we have our first scheduled meeting in April, and then we'd look to select pilot materials from state-adopted curriculum. So that was a lot of information, two-part data, but we also want to be conscientious of time. So happy to revisit any of those slides or any of those data points or answer any board questions.
Member Hill?
Thank you, Mr. Dalowitz and Ms. Decker. Great presentation. 2 questions. One, first is, why were we not measuring secondary? So that's the first question. And then the second question is, in the iReady graphs that you were showing, so it's great that we're seeing improvement from fall to winter, right? And so you showed that. I'm just curious, though, as you look at the grade level, it seems that we have an increase in the people, the percentage that are falling behind. Do we have any theories about why that is? So those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
Both really good questions. So this is the first year we purchased iReady for 6th grade, and the principal has requested that we do the same for grades 7 and 8 next year. The other assessment system that we use is Illuminate. Candidly, it's not required. And so principals have encouraged teachers to conduct formative or regular Illuminate assessments, but we don't have comprehensive data to share with you with respect to secondary.
We also, just to add, we use the iReady assessment for students in high school that want to reclassify.
Yeah, good point. Oh, not at all. And then I think there can be a number of different theories with respect to diminishing achievement. I mean, one thing to state, grade 3 consistently has high achievement in both English language arts and mathematics. So even if there's a decline from grade 1 to 2, you see a spike in achievement in grade 3. That's something that caught our department's attention. The other thing is, oftentimes you go from reading to learn, or reading to learn to learning to read, the other way around. Flip that in my mind. And so sometimes students have that difficulty in terms of grasping content as they go through the upper grade levels, and then applying that when it comes to reading comprehension or vocabulary development. And I don't know if there's anything else.
I have a question. Have you done any disaggregation of the different grade in terms of unduplicated students or English learners by ethnicity. I mean, does that tell you anything?
It does. We have that information, just in the spirit of being as concise as possible. We didn't include it, but we certainly can share that with the board, and it does have implications, and it does reveal certain things at different grade levels.
Yeah, so I think that would be at some point good to do a deep dive into that, because we are about reaching all students, and if there's groups that are consistently falling more and more behind, what are we doing to catch them up?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So next we move on to another staff report.
And I'm going to go ahead and do this one as with my assistant, Sue Pat. Can you go ahead and pull it up? Thank you. So we're going to share a little bit of information about our 2023 summer programs. We heard that a little earlier tonight. We want to make sure our community is aware. There will be a change. So last year, we ran 3 programs. We ran our ESY program there in the middle. We ran a K-6 enrichment program. And then we ran a 912 credit recovery program. We used some of the funds, some of the one-time funds that we had in the past, I believe years even before the pandemic. LCAP funds were used. And we generally ran a pretty typical program, 4 weeks, 5 days a week, located at 3 locations. This year, with the ELOP money, we really are tasked to, in the same way that we were able to expand our after-school programming from 3 sites to all of our elementary sites as well as our junior high, we also need to extend that summer school opportunity to more, and the ELOP funds allow us the opportunity to do that, which is really exciting. We are prepared to serve between 650 and 700 students, which is far greater than the 140 that we were able to serve last year. We had quite a few students on our wait list, and so we're really excited to hopefully not have to wait list any students this year. But again, we do have a limit at 650, 700 number. It'll be primarily Think Together with some options for some pull-out programs and intervention support along with enrichment. We'll continue to offer our ESY program for those who qualify through their IEPs, as well as our 912 credit recovery program. Our K-6 program runs June 7th through July 21st. Again, we will not have school on Juneteenth, nor June 19th, nor will we have it on July 3rd and 4th. There's always that awkward Tuesday 4th or midweek 4th, and so we just decided to allow our families to have that full weekend. The hours will be full day from 8:30 to 5:30. The locations at this time, we're planning for Schilling and Lincoln. If we have the need and the want, we will expand to another location as well. The program will be led primarily by Think Together site coordinators for this program, and again include opportunities for STEM, arts and craft, field trips, athletics, and community building. There'll be 2 weeks of that will include really specific ELD instruction using SEAL strategies. And then again, priority placement will be given to youth with ELD, low income, or English language learners, low income, or foster youth designations as part of the ELOP requirements. Our ESY program will run June 7th through July 7th, same program, 8:30 to 12. The location will be Schilling Elementary School and Newark Memorial High School for our secondary students. We will have a dedicated ESY administrator. Any administrators out there interested, please contact me. And we will supports will include speech, other services as outlined in the students' IEPs, and it is available to students who, again, have this designation in their IEP. And then finally, our 912 credit recovery program. This one we're going to shift slightly. So now classes will be held Tuesday through Friday, but instead of going 4 weeks, it'll go 5 weeks. We're hoping this will feel like a support to our high school students, give them a little bit of that summer feel for those weekends, but still make sure that they have enough time to really do well in those classes and get the credits that they're trying to recover. The location will be at Newark Memorial High School. It'll be led by our assistant principal, Murphy, and students will be able to recover a maximum of 10 credits during this time. Again, priority will be given to students in need of credit in order to graduate. So some background again, our ELOP grant really allows us to expand this program significantly. There are requirements to that though. And so some of the changes are due to those requirements. We must provide 30 days of non-instruction enrichment. We need to do it for 9 hours. We need to be able to provide our unduplicated students at least 50% enrollment or offerings to them. And again, this funding source completely allows us to take care of the entire cost of summer school without going into our discretionary or LCAP funds, which is really a great opportunity. And again, for our credit recovery, we do have the Learning Recovery Grant, and we may even be able to use some of our extra ELOP funds that we have left over from the remainder of this year. Any teachers that are interested in this actually will get a $1,000 bonus stipend if they sign up before spring break. So we would love to encourage all of our single credentialed teachers who are interested in helping out with credit recovery, please apply soon. Again, this is a little bit of an incentive to get in there. Let us know you're interested so we can offer it to as many students as we have teachers available to serve. Any interest, please contact Ophelia Malero. We have you're going to see in the next week or so, all of our summer school flyers. We just developed our new flyer today. You're going to see that spread across all of our school sites in the next couple weeks. But if you want to get ahead of it, please email Ophelia Malero. Thank you.
Questions or comments from the board? Yeah, Member Hill?
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. Just a quick question regarding the high school and credit recovery. Is this going to be in-person instruction or are we going to be using Apex?
It's going to be a combination of in-person and Apex, but the Apex program will be led in person. So students will still be expected to go to the school. They'll still be expected to do their work there, except for obviously the Mondays that they have off.
Okay, thank you.
Member Nguyen?
Thank you for the presentation, and it's great that we're able to extend the duration of the summer school program and then also increasing attendance for students who may need it. So thank you for that.
And I'd like to thank you for the report and look forward to the results at the end of the year, at the end of the summer. Thank you. Next, we move on to old business. 10.1 is policy update, board bylaw 9300.11 methods of operation. We discussed this at the last meeting and made recommendations, which are on the recommended new bylaw or recommended change on the bylaw. And I believe the major change was to move the employee organization reports up, before the student superintendent report. So if there are any questions or comments, I would entertain them now, or I would entertain a motion to approve. Yes, Ms. Member Nguyen?
Is it possible to also move up the public comments before the superintendent report?
They are before them, aren't they?
No, they're the employee organization and then superintendent report and then public comment. On the recommended methods of operation. But right now, our current agenda, so what I'm saying is that we have the existing and then the recommended. So the recommended bylaw, I just caught it right now, doesn't match what our current agenda is.
So you would say swap 10 and 9?
Yes.
Put the super,
Yes.
that sounds fine to me.
Okay.
How
So
does
we just
staff
need to
feel?
make the change and then I guess we
I
can make
think
the motion to make the change and
to
then
make
have
the-
the approval.
Yeah, approve it with that change, swapping numbers 9 and 10. So is that a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, Member Nguyen has made a motion to swap 9 and 10 and approve the rest report.
I will second.
And Member Jones seconds. Student member,
Yes.
please vote.
Thank you. Yes, because we did make that changed last time, it's just not reflected.
It didn't get reflected. Yeah, it only makes sense, yes.
Thank you. But our agenda is correct. So, perfect. Sorry.
Yeah,
I should have made
the
the
agenda was correct, but this was not.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was in the wrong place.
Votes are in, 5 ayes.
Thank you. Next, Superintendent, we move on to second interim budget report.
All right, we have our Chief Business Official, Maria De La Cruz.
Thank you. Jody? Ready? Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. I'm pleased to share with you our second interim budget report for this evening. The last time we presented a budget report was at first interim, so this second interim covers the period from July 1st through January 31st, and our first interim was through October 31st. It has to be submitted to the Alameda County office by March 17th, which is tomorrow. And a reminder, this is a snapshot in time of our district's revenues and expenditure forecasts for the current year, as well as projections for 2 subsequent years. And again, it does include revisions since our first interim report. As part of the report, the board has to certify whether the report is positive, qualified, or negative. By certifying positive, it means that we are able to meet our obligations for this current year as well as the 2 subsequent years. If we file qualified, it means that we may not be able to make our obligations this year or in the 2 subsequent years. And when you file negative, it means the district will not be able to make its obligations for the remainder of the current year or the subsequent year. Starting off with our general fund revenues, our total revenues are $91.7 million at this time, and of this 91.7, 70% is unrestricted and 30% is restricted. You can see that most of our funding comes from LCFF, which is 68% of our revenues. 20% comes from other state revenues, 5% from federal sources, and then 7% from other local revenues. Our funding really depends a lot on our ADA. We are funded based on ADA and not enrollment. Our current enrollment is 4,951. It's been declining for the last 10 years, and our ADA to enrollment ratio is about 92.6%. This is also known as our attendance yield. If you look at the chart, it does give you a couple of years of history and a couple of years of projections for the next 2 subsequent years. It includes unduplicated pupil count, which determines our supplemental and concentration funds. So since first interim, the actual ADA that we had projected was 4,727, but as of P1, second interim, our ADA is down to 4,585, which is 142 less. Our funded ADA is only 2 less. We were funded based on 5,327, and our enrollment went down to 22 students, and our unduplicated pupil percentage, which determines our concentration funds, went up about 0.7%. It went from 54% to 55.14%, so we're slightly above that percentage where we are getting concentration funds. And I want to say that this is mostly due from our efforts in our More Than a Meal campaign, where our staff made every effort to make those phone calls so that our families completed the lunch forms or our alternative app forms. And again, our attendance yield, we had projected to be at 95%, but our P1, we're actually at 92.6%, which is down about 2.5%. So from there, our LCFF, our local control funding formula, there are several components and factors involved in this formula, but it is the main source of our funding. We get 61.9, almost 62 million, which is 96% of our unrestricted funds, and it includes a base grant, and we get a certain amount per grade span and per grade span adjustment, and it includes supplemental based on our foster youth, English learners, and socioeconomically disadvantaged students. And we also get what's known as add-ons, which includes home-to-school transportation funding and transitional kindergarten funding. Our funded ADA is based on the ADA relief calculation, which allows our district to get funded based on the higher of either our current year ADA, our prior year ADA, or a 3-year average. And for us, it's a difference between, the 4,720, which was our prior year ADA, and the 5,327, which is a 3-year average. And with that, there was also some relief where the state allowed us to use our attendance shield from 21-22 or 19-20, whichever was highest. So in 19-20, our attendance shield was 97%, and last year it was only 91%, so we were able to take advantage of that 97%. So major changes since first interim in terms of our revenues came from a decrease in our base and an increase in our supplemental concentration funds because of our increase in UPP for a net of about $97,000, and we had an increase in donations of about $33,000. And on the restricted side, we did have a decrease in our SELPA allocation of about $30,000, and we added our special ed early intervention preschool grant, which was about $136,000, and we also received a K-12 strong workforce grant for $260,000, and additional local revenues, which includes some grants and property taxes of $414,000. For our general fund expenditures, the total expenditures are $96 million. 55% of that is unrestricted, 45% is restricted, and our salaries and benefits total is about 58%. And the other big piece of our expenditures comes from services and operating expenditures, which is 29%. This includes all of our utilities, water, electricity, our insurance, legal services, and contracted services. So some of the major changes between first and second interim include, again, expenditures for our K-12 strong workforce and our ELOP program, salaries and benefits, an increase in legal expenses. We added a budget for our Wi-Fi project and also our Chromebook purchases. The general fund contributes to our restricted funds, including the special ed program, as well as what's known as our routine restricted maintenance program. We're required to contribute 3% of our total expenditures to the routine restricted maintenance account. That's that RRMA for school building maintenance. And for the special ed, as funding is not adequate, we contribute $9.9 million from general fund to our special education program. We did have a net decrease, though, in our contributions since first interim. So what that does to our fund balance on the unrestricted side, we have a decrease of $747,000 in our fund balance. It is isn't a true deficit because it represents a carryover from our LCAP that was transferred from our fund balance to the expenditure budgets. But since first interim, it's an increase of about 110,000 to our fund balance. So just to summarize, if you look at our beginning fund balance at second interim, we had 16,782,000. We had some audit adjustments of 512,000. And then if you deduct the decrease in the fund balance of 747, we have an ending fund balance of 15.5 million. And of that 15.5 million, 181,000 is non-spendable. And we have committed funds of $11 million, and our reserve for economic uncertainties is about 4.3 million. So that represents our total ending fund balance of 15.5 million. And adding our Fund 17 reserves of 2.3 million, we have a total reserves of 6.6 million now in at second interim, which is 7% of our total expenditures, and is above the 3% minimum that's required. So then when we're looking at our multi-year projections, we have built-in assumptions for COLA, our enrollment projections, our ADA, actual ADA, and our funded ADA. So it includes 8.13% in cost of living adjustment and 3.5% for 24-25. You can see our enrollment is projected to decline for the next couple of years. The ADA, based on 92% attendance yield, ADA to enrollment ratio, is also projected to go down from 4,550 to 4,505. But our funded ADA, you can see also will be decreasing. Funded ADA is based on the ADA relief. So as you can see in that third year out, there is a significant decline in ADA because the the relief is only for the 1 year. So as you go through the next couple of years, that if your ADA goes down, enrollment goes down, that funded ADA also goes down. So it's about 300 less ADA in the next couple of years. But we do have a balanced budget for the next 2 years, and our reserves are still above the 3% minimum required at 8% and 9%. And then we do have other funds, including our adult education fund, our child development fund, our cafeteria fund, and our special reserve for economic uncertainties. The building fund, which is our bond fund, we have less than $2,000 left to spend. Our capital facilities fund, which is our developer fees income, we do have about 8.1 million in our ending fund balance. And the special reserve, Fund 40, which is our Russian fund, we have 8.3 million in our ending fund balance. And then the bond interest and self-insurance fund. So altogether, our other funds combined is about 36.5 million. So as a final summary, we have a projected budget, balanced budget in our current year and our 2 subsequent years. Our reserves are above the 3% minimum required at 7% and 9% respectively. And we do recommend an approval of a positive certification on the second interim report. And with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions or comments from the board.
Member Nguyen?
Thank you, Ms. De La Cruz and staff, for putting together the second interim report. You guys always do a tremendous job, and I know that takes a team effort for this. The one thing that really stands out to me is the how our special education is being funded, and every single year there's never an there's never an end to the site where they're gonna, increase the funding for special education. It's always the districts. I know that every district has this issue. They're using general fund revenue to offset special education. Is there any way that we can advocate for more state funding or federal funding for special education?
I'm sure there's a way, but yeah, like you said, unfortunately, all of the school districts are experiencing the same thing where we're just not getting adequately funded by the federal or the state government. Although the state is slowly, adding COLA every year to that funding, but it's still not enough.
Thank you.
Member Hill?
Thank you, Ms. Dela Cruz. Two questions. I forget the terminology you were using, but it's like attendance ratio, and where the state was allowing us to use a prior, essentially date or ratio that was like the 2019 year, which we've been using, so that therefore reduces the impact of ADA. And I'm just curious. So for question one is, do we have any sense of whether the state is going to extend this new calculation? So that was question one. And then question two is in the general fund slide that you were showing, there was an audit adjustment of something like, I don't know, 400 or 500,000. I'm just curious what that is. So those are my two questions.
Yeah, so for the ADA relief, ADA to enrollment ratio that we were able to take advantage of was for 1920 versus 21-22. That was added after the previous ADA kind of mitigation that we received, where we were able to use the 1920 ADA for a couple of years. So it is possible because they were able to provide us some relief this next couple of years, because they also added the 3-year average, because that was not an option before. So we can only hope that they continue to recognize that a lot of school districts are still trying to recover from the ADA that we've lost in the last couple of years. Oh, the audit, yes. So I think I shared this at our first interim report. They made us adjust our ending balance due to the market value of our cash, if you remember. There was a difference between fair market value and the cash value. So it was significant enough to where they made us make that adjustment.
Thank you. I had a couple comments or questions. Your funded ADA goes down by 300 in each of the next 2 years, and if you take a round figure of $10,000 for students, isn't that $6 million that we're going to be losing over the next 3 years? Or this year and the next 2 years?
It's about, yeah, $3 million each year.
Yeah, $6 million. That's a huge percentage of our total income. So that's very concerning. Another thing that's concerning is that our services and other operating expenses seem high compared to past years, and it would be nice to have you tell us approximately how much has it grown as a percentage of our expenditures and why.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that research.
If the rest of the board is okay with it. I think those are the two things that really stick out for me. Thank you. Any other comments? No. Thank you. That's a lot of work.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it.
Thank you. So if anybody would like to make a motion.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I
was getting there.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve the positive certification of our second interim.
I'll motion for that.
Okay.
I'll second.
Mr. Torres motions. Ms. Jones seconds. Please, Member Torres, what's your vote?
Yes.
Student member votes yes. Please vote.
It's always good to have a positive certification.
Votes are in, 5 ayes.
Thank you.
Okay, next we move on to home to school transportation plan.
Believe Ms. De La Cruz is going to report on this as well.
Thank you. So as part of the state budget this year, there's an opportunity for our district to get reimbursed for some additional transportation expenses. And I'm just gonna, oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. Just gonna go through this short presentation. So as a little bit of a background, the 22-23 state budget included this opportunity for all school districts to receive reimbursement funds for home to school transportation. And it's based on the higher of our current transportation allocation under LCFF, or 60% of what we reported as our transportation costs last year. And this doesn't include transportation for field trips, just want to make that clear. It's only for our home to school transportation. But in order to receive these funds, there are some requirements. The school district is required to submit a transportation plan. And it has to be approved by the board by April 1st, 2023, which is next month. And part of the requirement is that the plan includes some consultation with staff, administrators, parents, students, local transportation agencies, and the Air Quality Management District. And our district has met these requirements by meeting through our site council and parent organization meetings. We also partner with AC Transit, and we had a consultation meeting with AC Transit that was organized by the Alameda County Office of Education. The Bay Area Air Quality Management District developed a website for all school districts in order to meet this requirement. Our current allocation for home to school transportation is about $311,000, and last year we spent almost $641,000 in our transportation for students with disabilities, and 60% of that is $384,000. So the difference between $384,000 and $311,000 is about $73,000. So that's the opportunity that we could get reimbursed for with the new state budget. Our current home to school transportation services includes contracted services for students with disabilities. We also have reimbursements for parents that choose to provide the transportation for their student. And AC Transit bus passes are provided to students that qualify through our McKinney-Vento program and our foster youth services, and also through an online application for students grades 6 through 12 at no cost to students. And unfortunately, due to budget constraints, we still are not able to provide any additional home-to-school transportation services. This funding is strictly for reimbursement, and we do recommend approval of this plan. If we do not approve a plan, then we get finding through our audit, as well as, of course, we have to return the money, because the state will be allocating the money to us.
Thank you. Looks like we have no choice. I would entertain any questions or comments. If not, a motion.
I move to approve. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Does this cover like Zoom?
Yes,
Okay.
it's Zoom.
Thank you.
Yes.
I missed that, but.
Yes, that's part of our contracted service. Mhm.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Member Nguyen has moved. Member Jones has seconded to approve the transportation plan. Member Torres.
Yes.
I'm gonna get better at this. Please vote.
Five ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we move on to 11.4, since we covered 11.3 earlier. 11.4 is Newark Management Association MOU Advanced Degree Stipends.
Ms. De La Cruz, you're up again.
So this item is to approve an MOU between NUMA and the school district. And what we are recommending is that we align the advanced degree stipends with NTA. And it's mostly for the doctorate's degree, which currently is at $1,200. And we are recommending that degree to be at $2,000. And we have currently 6 employees that have a doctorate, so the fiscal impact's about $4,800.
Questions or comments from the board? I do have a question. Do we ever look at what other districts do in this area? I know I'm in favor of this, no problem about that, but I'm just curious if this is in line with what other districts provide.
It's, I believe it's in line, and in some districts, they may offer more.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Member Nguyen moves to approve.
I'll second that.
Member Torres seconds. Pardon? Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Torres, how do you vote? Oh, it's personnel?
Yeah.
Yeah, you, okay, okay, good catch.
I think he can second. He just can't.
He just can't
he
vote. Okay. Please vote.
So,
Oh,
I'm sorry, just to confirm, motion made by member Nguyen, seconded by member Torres, is that correct?
right.
Yes.
Thank you, I'll open the vote.
It's okay, I can do it. Keep doing it.
Thank you, 4 ayes. Sorry, excuse me, 4 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we move on to 11.5, architectural services for Kennedy Fence Project.
All right, for this item again, we have Ms. De La Cruz.
On a roll here. Okay. Thank you. The purpose of this item is to approve a contract with our LCA Architects for our Kennedy Fence project. The Kennedy Fence project is part of a standard that we've been trying to complete for all of our schools. Most of our elementary schools, actually all of them except for Kennedy, have security fencing. We have the one at Coyote Hill that's in progress, it's almost complete. And I think the only other one that doesn't have a complete fence around the campus is McGregor. So we've had community engagement meetings with stakeholders at Kennedy a couple of times, with one with staff, one with parents on January 17th, January 27th, and January 31st. The purpose to have the architect is for them to provide some preliminary drawings, some preliminary designs based on the feedback that we get from all the stakeholders, and work with the community to come up with a design and a plan and the specifications so that we can go out to bid. We received a couple of proposals. The one that we're recommending is for $57,000. It provides a complete scope of services for this project, and the funding source will be from developer fees, which we currently, with this, we have an ending fund balance projected at $8 million. Our beginning balance for the developer fees, Fund 25, was $16 million. And for the last 5 years, our average revenues that we've received is about $3 million a year. And with expenditures that we have already in the budget of 11 million, that's where we end up with 8 million left in our ending fund balance for Fund 25. So with that,
Board
we-
comments, questions? Member Nguyen?
I just have a quick question. I was looking over the preliminary budget. I know that you're asking for 57,000 for architect fees and plans, but there was one other itemized item for architectural fees and other additional services for 5,000. Why isn't that 5,000 included in the recommended ask for tonight?
I believe that's for any ADA compliance that might come up.
Okay.
But I can have Ms. Denny explain that more in detail if you'd like.
So, I mean, I'm assuming that if there is any ADA compliant, you'll be coming back to ask us for the additional. Whereas I was thinking, why wasn't it just rolled in there?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
That probably would make it probably more, I mean, much better,
Okay.
so that we don't have to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I were to make the motion, I would make a change that we add the additional 5,000, bringing it to $62,000.
Okay, for now, is there any other comments or questions
Yeah,
before you make
before I
that?
make the motion.
I have a question, two questions, actually. One is that, is the $57,000 the lowest bid? And if not, why did you choose it over the other one?
Yeah, it was not lower than the other one, but they provided a more complete scope of work, including site visits, where the other architects didn't include as much for site visits, and that was important to us, and plus the bid and construction administration.
And the other is probably more of a comment than a question, and that is that other sites had fencing that was not driven by community input or staff input at the school, and they, I think, were less costly and maybe more beautiful. And you have to wonder, you know, was this a fair process across all of our sites? If the input from the sites has caused the prices or the cost of fencing at these later schools to far exceed or exceed those at the earlier schools. So it's just a comment. So would you like to make a motion?
Sure, but I think to President Thomas's point is that I just want us to also be cognizant that some of the schools had prior fencing that was done several years back, and there's been price increases in construction and everything, and inflation, significant inflation over the last couple of years. So just for us to keep that in mind. I don't necessarily know. I mean, I don't want to say that staff has been unfair to the community in the process. I think it's just about safety for our students and staff. So I think that's probably more the line.
Yeah, although what came to my mind was chain link fences versus some of the ornamental fences. That's a difference that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
But, okay.
There's also DSA requirements, so those have been changing over the years as well.
Yeah, okay. Member Nguyen?
Okay, so with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve and add the additional $5,000 for the additional architectural fees and other additional services that was already itemized to bring the budget up to $62,000. Wait, did I do my math right? Thank you.
So let me make sure I get this correct. So you are looking to approve the contract with LCA Architects for the Kennedy Fence project, and the preliminary cost estimate with the additional fees for ADA compliance, is that which?
Just additional fees of 5,000.
Of 5,000,
So
thank you.
57 plus 5.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a line item 1A and 1B combined.
Yeah. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? And then you can make your comment.
I will second.
Okay, Member Nguyen made the motion, Member Jones seconded to add that amount to the dollar amount. Member Hill has a comment.
Yeah, I understand what Member Wen is trying to do, but I'm not sure that we can do it in this agenda item because this is a contract. And so are we saying that we're going to increase the amount of the contract for this particular vendor by $5,000? Or are we just saying that we want to lump it into one budget category?
No, I'm just increasing the budget for, because it's not.
If you look at the contract, there is language in there for additional services.
Okay.
So rather than having to come back as a change order if and when that's needed, we're setting aside a contingency for $5,000 is my
That's
understanding.
correct. Yes, that's
For those
correct.
additional services.
Will they understand that it's a contingency and that they don't need to spend it?
Yes, that is in the contract. It does say, anything that's not specifically described will be considered and will only be billed at the owner's authorization.
So we're kind of giving you the ability to approve it?
Yes.
Okay. Or not?
Or not. Yes.
Okay. Member Torres, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, please vote.
Final vote, 5 ayes.
Next, we move on to 11.6, Administrative Regulation 1312.1, complaints concerning district employees.
Thanks. For this policy update, we have our Executive Director of Human Resources, Katharina Ingham Waters.
So for your hopefully approval tonight, we'd like to update just the regulation of policy 1312.1. The current version we have is from 1995. The policy was updated in 2019, but for whatever reason, the administrative regulation wasn't brought forward in 2019. And so the 2019 version, the last updated version from CSBA, we're looking for approval on this policy update. No personalization at the district level. It's strictly CSBA recommended language and cleanup of language.
Are there any questions or comments? My only comment is, and I made it before, so you know I'm going to say it, and that is that it's always, in the past, we had markups so we knew what had changed. In something that was approved in 1995 and it's now been updated, there's probably a lot of changes, so a red line version would be pretty messy, but I do think a red line version, or maybe something I had kicked out before as an opportunity, which would be to have a board subcommittee that could sit down and go over these before they come to the board. That's just my thought. Anyway, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Member Nguyen moves.
I'll second that.
Member Jones seconds to approve the AR 1312.1 recommended CSBA version. Member Torres,
Yes.
please vote.
May I say something? Yes. The 1995 version that we had, was that also just the straight CSBA, or was that?
From what I can tell, it actually looks more personalized. In the 1995 version, it talks about the complaint will be on a form called the Tell Us About It form. And so I don't think that's CSBA language. I think that's district, because our general complaint forms do have that title, or older versions do. And so part of the reason of getting this moved through, after we've had lots of discussions about how to address board policy, is because we're trying to do a revamp of our complaint policy and procedures to better serve our family and communities. And so this was a big one for me to clean it up and, you know, personalize it as we can see fit, but really stick to the CSBA language.
It was more of a clarifying question than anything else.
Thank you. There were 5 ayes.
Now, on to the consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull 12.1? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve item 12.1 personnel report.
I'll second.
Member Nguyen moves to approve. Member Jones seconds approving the personnel report. Member Torres does not vote on this, so please vote. Okay, next we move on to the consent agenda.
4 ayes. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Consent agenda and non-personnel items, and we have 4 items: the warrant report, the resolution for the NUSD board member vacancy, minutes of the December 15th regular meeting, and minutes of the December 21st special meeting. Would any board member like to pull an item? Member Hill.
I'd like to pull 13.2, the warrant report, please.
Okay, 13.2 is pulled. I would entertain a motion to approve 13.3 through 13.5. I'll move to approve 13.3 to 13.5.
Minus 13.2.
No, she said 13.3 to 13.5. We're good.
Oh.
I second. No.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Yeah, you have a,
Oh.
I second.
Member Nguyen seconds it. Member Torres, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Please vote.
Five ayes.
Thank you. Now, Member Hill.
Thank you, President Thomas. So in the current warrant report, we have a $4,000 warrant for Mr. Jeffrey Vu. And as the board knows from prior comments that I've made, I believe that this is an improper contract, and it's in violation of Government Code 53060, as well as other state, county, and local ordinances. I understand that the district is in the process of severing the relationship with this vendor, and that's a welcome step. But nevertheless, I cannot vote to approve payment to a vendor where I don't believe that we should have been contracting with them in the first place. And so therefore, I'm going to be abstaining on a vote for this particular agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments by board members? No? If not, Member Torres, oh wait, I would recommend a motion and a second for 13.2.
I move to approve 13.2.
I'll second.
Member
Thank
Nguyen
you.
moves, Member Jones seconds, approving warrant report for February 2023. Member Torres, how do you vote?
Yes.
Please vote. Thank you. We're
So,
going to be,
4 ayes, 1 abstain.
sorry, I need to wait for you to do that. So we're going to be hopefully moving on in a reasonable hour. So next we go on to Board of Education Committee reports, announcements, requests, debrief, and discussion. Do you want me to separate those out or just have you each cover your responsible areas and questions at one time? I'm open to anything.
The latter's fine.
Okay. So, Member Torres?
Are we doing announcements first? Or just anything?
You can put that in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, first, I would like to recognize all the hard work that the school has been doing for our HATS assembly. It's been a lot of stress and a lot of tirelessly hours. I know right now they just finished their dress rehearsal in their practice run through. So I'm actually really excited for the performance tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to that. It's been what I've been looking for all week. Another thing I would like to highlight is just the wonderful staff that we have on campus. I feel like they are under-supported sometimes, but they always never show it. They always put their biggest smiles on their face, and I love seeing all of them so happy to be there, and I hope that they can stay here because I know I wasn't here earlier today. I was kind of busy, and I didn't get to hear the NTA members speak in person, but I did listen to them on the YouTube channel. And one of my teachers, Miss Noob, who I had this year, I really hope that we pay attention to her a lot because she is a really important member of the NUSD community. I had her sophomore year, and she's the only teacher that actually got me a 4 on the AP test, and it's out of 5. And I have her this year, and I only took that class for the AP credit, but now I'm actually really interested in that topic, and I love it a lot, and I love going to that class, and it's because of the hard work of her. And so I really hope that she stays in the district and that she doesn't look for somewhere else, because as she said, that she could be getting paid a lot more at the neighboring districts. So that's all I would like to say.
Thank you. Member Nguyen?
Thank you, President Thomas. In regards to committee reports, I don't have any to report, except we are going to be delaying the NUSD Liaison Committee with the City of Newark until pending our superintendent appointment. And I believe you spoke with the mayor regarding that, correct, President Thomas? Okay. And then as far as announcements, again, March has been a really super busy month. I just wanted to also acknowledge Ms. Abby Cairns again for the wonderful job that she did with the reclassification celebration. It's funny because the earlier students that I had highlighted, they had commented last night that it was wonderful to be a part of. They weren't a part of it last year, and to see how organized it was. And it was funny because they didn't realize, they picked up on being able to just run with it and playing the music and doing the lighting piece of it. But they also recognized how hard Ms. Kearns was working with all the other staff members to be able to put that together. And I also wanted to really appreciate our assistant, Mandy Pims. She did an amazing job getting all the food and then also making sure setup and takedown of the event. So it was really well run. And then all of our Pombertores volunteers last night, organizing all the parents to, getting them there and then having food for them and then getting them into the seats and then the presentation and the ceremony and the awards. So it was really well done, and I just really wanted to appreciate everyone that was involved in that. And lastly, the junior high volleyball team, girls volleyball team made it to the championship game last week, but unfortunately they did lose in the championship game to IVC, a Union City middle school. But I just wanted to say to the coaches and to the students that they worked really hard, both the JV team and the varsity team. So the teams were composed of 6th through 8th graders, and they did a great job and had a wonderful season. And there was quite a crowd cheering them on throughout the season. So congratulations to them. And that is it.
Member Jones?
I did attend the SELPA meeting yesterday, and the only thing that I would report beyond what Acting Superintendent Pierce talked about with the events is that They are CDE is developing a new pathway so that all students will receive a diploma. And they're working on the curriculum for that, the coursework, and what the requirements will be. But they will, the students will be receiving an actual diploma as other students, regular general ed students will be receiving. So that was really great to hear that they're going to be rewarded for all of their hard work in that traditional way. And they have some great events coming up that were mentioned earlier. And I guess that's really it, but it was good to go. So. And the other thing I wanted to, actually the other one I'm going to wait on. I'll wait on the other one. But last night I did go to the reclassification at the high school, and it was fabulous. The kids were excited. The entertainment was great. The staff worked really hard, and it was very evident because it was a really terrific evening.
Member Hill?
Thank you, President Thomas. So quick update regarding the audit committee. So we had a meeting last week. We covered two key agenda items. One is we're updating the audit charter. We've already made some small changes. There's a draft out to the existing members for them to look over. We're going to have another meeting next week to hopefully finalize that and then bring a recommended updated charter to the board for review and ratification at the next regular board meeting. So that's one process that we've been going through. And then the other process is it's kind of a best practice to look at your relationship with your external auditor and evaluate whether it makes sense to put the contract out to it really does make sense to put the contract out to bid. The question is the frequency, and just because you put it out to bid, it doesn't mean that you're going to change your auditor, but at least it makes everybody sharpen their pencils and make sure that you're getting the best bang for the buck. And so we're working within our committee along with Ms. Dela Cruz in evaluating that, and then we will take that up as well next week. I believe that day, I think it's Wednesday that we're meeting. Yeah, so that's an update from the audit committee perspective, and then just another quick announcement. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody, and wishing everybody or wishing all of us a great March Madness kickoff, and hopefully your brackets won't be busted. And a personal shout out, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for my alma mater, Michigan State. So go green, go white.
Okay, well, I attended an ROP meeting, and we gave an 8% increase to ROP staff, retroactive to July. That was a nice thing to be able to do. I, too, enjoyed the reclassification ceremony last night, and the music and the dancing were just fantastic. The drummers, the taiko drummers, are willing and happy to go to assemblies, so we should be letting our our principals know that they can ask them to come and perform. This week, Ms. Jones and I are going to spend 2 days in Santa Cruz at the Masters in Governance training, yeah, so we look forward to that. And then just a reminder about what I asked for earlier, what's happened with our services and operating expenses over time. That could be a board report, or it could be an agenda item. And in special ed, how does our special ed percentages compare to other districts? Maybe a special ed presentation at some point, because we usually do get one. I don't know how long it's been since we've had one, but there's at least 2 new board members, and we'll soon have another one. So to schedule some kind of a special ed presentation in the spring would be nice.
President Thomas, I just wanted to remind you that after you make the first request, we have to get a board majority to approve so that staff can go ahead with the request.
Do you approve either a board report or a written report to us on services and operating expenses over time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that would be helpful.
Okay, and the special ed presentation earlier in the spring
For,
for,
study session?
I don't think a study session, I think a staff report.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
And just to clarify, when you say special education, as it relates to budget, as it relates to services provided,
Oh, I think-
overview
Both,
of program?
all of
I
it.
think the overview of the
Overview
program,
of program,
yeah. I mean, we'd like to, especially since there's 3 of us that are new on the board,
Great.
hearing about the good things special ed does and not only how much it costs. Okay, thank you.
Wait, can I also make another announcement? I would also like to thank the leadership associates, the ones who've been running the superintendent search, and Ms. Croce. Sorry, I feel like I butchered that. Everyone would be calling you Jody, but no, my mom would kill me if I did that. So Ms. Croce, thank you for all the hard work. I've seen the emails, and they came to the school to speak with students. That was really nice to see. I also met with the guy, I have no idea, I forgot what his name was, but.
Andrews.
Yeah, Mr. Andrews, and he even had the same glasses as me, so that was kind of cool. He kind of copied me there. And I'd also like to say, I know someone that actually wants to go for that job. The principal, Dr. Rich, he has informed me that he would like to go for that job, and so I hope he gets a fair process, because I know he's done a lot of hard work at our school. There's been less fights, I feel like, this year, and the attendance contest was a really good incentive to get students to class. So I know he's been working really hard. Oh yeah, and the detention stuff, it's really strict at school, like everyone's really scared about that. And I feel like he's been working really hard this year, and he's always there, and I feel like you guys should see him too with his outfits. His outfits are really out there, but he has school spirit, and he tries, and his shoes are really nice, and so I hope he gets a fair process with his interview. So yeah, it is all about the shoes, everyone knows that. So I hope he does well in the search, and I know he would make a really good superintendent, so that's it.
Mr. Hill.
Yeah, and then just a quick question. So also next Wednesday, I believe, or that's not Wednesday, Thursday. Next Thursday, Member Wen and I are going to be getting together to receive the applications for the board vacancy. And I just had a clarifying question since I haven't been through the mechanics of this. So it's my understanding that basically we have to verify 3 things. Number 1, that they're over 18. Number 2, that they're a registered voter and that they live in Newark. And then what are the sources that we use to determine that?
I know that we just basically I guess we can ask them for a copy of their driver's license, but in the past, we just we verified their address for sure, but if they're a registered voter or not, I don't think that was one of the criteria.
Because I think you have to do it.
I don't remember.
So do we have to go, maybe you could help us ask the Alameda County office, is it the registrar's office?
There is a list posted, I don't know if it lists the actual names of registered voters, but there is definitely a count through the county office where we can look to see.
It might be in our bylaws too.
We can do some research on that.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, thank you.
And finally, acting superintendent.
All right, I'll make it brief. Thank you so much. I do want to just say thank you to all the board members who did attend the reclassification event. A special thank you to Member Nguyen who took photos for the event. For those of you who don't know, phenomenal photographer over here. And we take advantage of that maybe a little too frequently, but we appreciate you for it. And then just in terms of final words, I know that today we had some pretty tough and really challenging topics to discuss today. And yet I'm really proud of us as a team because we really balanced we found a nice balance of assessment, instruction, parent engagement, budget. We balanced voices of teachers, students at the podium, and principals. And I just feel like we should really, this is the direction we should be going. So thank you so much to the entire team.
Thank you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting, but I'll also say thank you, Ms. Pierce, for all the hard work you did. I know we had a power outage this week, and that was a pretty crazy time. It was very scary in the dark. Some people were screaming, going crazy, but it was nice to see like the updates and the updates from you, so thank you.
So President Thomas, could I just ask one question? So member Wen, are you sure that you don't want me to make a motion to extend the meeting until 12 midnight?
Oh, no, I will say no to that.
You got vetoed by our student board member, and I really want to appreciate our student board member, Diego Torres.
Okay, Member Torres made the motion. Who would second it?
I'm happy to second it.
Oh, Member Jones is seconding it. Please vote.
And I'm happy to say yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, jeez. I was doing so well, wasn't I? And then I blew it at the end.
Is your vote yes? Yes. Oh, I got you. Yeah, I swooped in on it, 5 ayes.
Member Torres, remind your high schoolers the sun is out. You can see, even when the power goes out.
And the time is 9:46.